Well, let's see. Yeah, my first time in the Philippines was 1974, giving seminars, and been married to two Filipinas, not at the same time. Remember the Texas Rangers? So anyway, back in the 1880s, there was a big riot in Waco, Texas, about 100 miles north of Austin, the state capital. So the sheriff in Waco sent a telegram to Austin, we need the Texas Rangers, there's a big riot here. So, next day, the sheriff met the train. Only one ranger walked out. Only one. Says, why is only one ranger? You know, we got a riot. Well, there's only one riot, isn't there? Yeah, so Americans like to go alone. The English language is a bad language to negotiate in. Whether they're Russian or not, they're using the Russian style. They like to control the agenda. In other words, they limit what you can talk about. And if the agenda is very formal, you can't bring anything new in. I don't like those kinds of negotiations. Limited authority is another thing the Russians do. Yeah, well, gee, I'd like to do it, but I don't have the authority. I got to ask my boss. How many people have bought an automobile, a car, lately? Anybody bought a car? Lately? Yeah, the car salesmen always do that. They're getting ready to, you agree with the price, and then what do? Oh, well, I got to check with my boss first. And the boss comes in, no, I can't do that. You gave away too much. You've got to pay more. It's called limited authority. They concede very, very slowly, the Russians do, because they're tough, and they only concede when they figure that the other person is not going to concede. They always get something in return. They use trade-offs. Okay. And they keep plenty of room to negotiate. In other words, what's mine is mine, what's yours is negotiable. You can shake it, you can talk to it, but you know it won't do any good. They just won't talk back to you. Yeah, that's Russian style. Russians are fun to negotiate with. Oh, they keep after you over and over, right? Remember when you had kids when they were small? Over and over, I want this, I want this. And they know body language. They can read you like a book. Yeah. Body language is an important part of my seminar. How many of you know a lot about body language? They're uninhibited. You know, they'll just tell you what they really think. When you're dealing with other people, do you let all your hair down and let everybody know what you think right away? Or you're a little bit more cautious, right? Because, you know, you can offend people. Little kids don't care. They don't understand. They know what they want. They know when to ask for it. They know how to ask for it. They're pretty smart. We should learn from them. They play one parent off against the other. Divide and conquer. Right? They're honest in their demands, and their approaches are very creative. Why do we stop being creativity begins early. Let me show you this, which, you know, you can't see too well. So, there's a cartoon. Creativity begins early, all right? So he goes in. Daddy says no. Can you see that? Over here. Goes talks to Mommy. Mommy says no. What am I going to do now? So he asks Mommy, do you really mean that? Yes. At the bottom, Mommy said yes. Remember Dennis the Menace? Anybody read cartoons every day? Online I get about maybe 50 to 60 cartoons, you know, on the internet. And I read cartoons every day. I love cartoons. I have a big, I got several thousand comic books at my house. And I imagine they're pretty valuable now. The ideal negotiator, they can negotiate with their own company and win. They've got good business judgment and they know the bottom line issues. They can handle conflict and ambiguity. That's very important to handle conflict, right? And if you're a control freak, you're gonna go crazy with being people who are ambiguous. Don't let them bother you, okay? The wisdom to be patient. We're going to talk about being patient pretty soon and what it can do. Okay. So anyway, sense of humor. Like yourself so you don't have this big need to be liked. Anyway, so manipulation, intimidation doesn't work too well. There's a better way, and that's called negotiating. That's what the whole seminar is about. Because there, both sides win. You recognize the other person as an individual. It creates a climate of confidence. It's not in your notes. You exchange information, meaningful information, and it leads to a long-term relationship. Is that what you're after, a long-term relationship? Yes. The other person, or a quickie, make as much as you can. This seminar here is mainly based on long-term relationships, not quickies. So what's always required in a negotiation? Not in your notes. You got to have goals. The goals can be common or conflicting. It's always what they call, theoretically, it's called a non-zero result. It's not a zero-sum game. Sit at your table, or move to another table if you don't like the people you're with. And argue about it and say which one is the best way to do it. Shall I give away $25 each time? Shall I give away 50-50 and then 0-0? Got so many different ways to do it. So look at them and discuss them among yourselves and see what happens. These are the three people you were waiting for, right? No, they didn't never show up. Oh, well. There's nowhere else. Let's see. So over this.
Kasi experience namin yung give them money up, nawawala sila. Binigay ko naman sa kanila second month o 4-month extension, nawawala. So effective sa amin on the fourth month, binigay ko sa'yo lahat. Forward to the
best. Easy.
Number 12.
Number 12, no.
Which one?
The best deal is number 3.
Number 3, okay. And worst one? Number 4. A lot of people are picking number 5, right? All right. I'll tell you which one I think is the best.
It's a one-sided deal.
In my opinion, and one that works the most for most people is number 3, because it's very, very hard-nosed. You don't give away anything to the very end.
Yes.
The worst one is number 4,
Yes.
because you're giving it away too early.
You don't get nothing.
Let's look at the do's and don'ts of concessions real quick. That's the next transparency. How do you make concessions? Give yourself enough room by starting high if you're selling, starting low if you're buying. Number 2, get the other person to open up first while you keep your demands hidden. Don't be the first one to concede on a major issue, but you can concede first on a minor issue. Number 5, concede slowly, very, very slowly. Conserve them. Make the other person wait so he'll appreciate them even more. It's like a boyfriend and girlfriend. Concede slowly. Give in to the seduction slowly. Number 6, say no often. Don't be afraid to say no. Most people are afraid to say no. If you say no often enough, people will believe you, so be persistent. And don't be afraid to take it back. Yeah, no, this is too formal, and we're not that close. Let's see if I do this. No, face it. Are they standing as close as this guy and I was? No, they're standing closer than you.
Yeah.
Much closer. Because women stay closer, men stay a little bit further apart, and the two sexes stay apart. Okay. Intimidation by guilt. Who is the person in the whole world that makes you feel guilty the most? Who makes you feel guilty more than anybody else? Your mother.
Yes.
Mother makes you feel guilty. Yeah, my mother used to do that all the time. She's been dead a few years now. She used to say, Donald, how can you treat me this way when I carried you around in my womb for 9 months and it took me 30 hours to give birth to you and I was yelling and screaming the whole time. Right. So I tell her, Mom, this is how I made her stop. I said, Mother, I promise I'll never make you do that again. Stereotyping. Well, I don't know. You look like this particular ethnic group, which I think is not too good. Violence is another way, but that's not used too often. So intimidation is negative, and one wins and one loses. And the best way of all is to negotiate. And there, both sides win. The other person is recognized as an individual. It creates a climate of confidence. You exchange information, and it leads to long-term relationships. We'll talk about threats. When you actually threaten people. Look at that, huh? The big guy and the little gal. It's a sign that you don't know how to use power. Number 2, make a commitment to act, which reduces the other person's power. Act irrational. Go crazy. Aye! Don't do that to me. Aye! Anyway, then you can do the other thing. Prove that you are prepared to suffer no matter the price. Act ignorant, like you didn't even know it's a threat. You can cut off communications, so the other guy won't know if you received the threat or not. Size, power, money power. If I have more money than you, I can outlast you. Yeah, who's the guy running for president now? Donald Trump, right? My name is Donald. So my next book coming out is The Science of the Deal by Donald J. Trump, and I'm scratching out J. Trump and putting W. Hendon there just to see what happens. So money power. So Trump uses money all the time, right? Am I an expert on certain things? Not on nuclear physics, gee whiz. But I think I know negotiating and a few other things. Legitimate power. Who has legitimate power over you? Huh? Yeah, traffic cop on the road, okay? Hey, expert power. Legitimate power. Who's got legitimate power over you? Cops and so on. Referent power, reference groups, okay? So you identify with Donald Trump, okay? So he's your reference group. You want to do everything that Donald Trump does. Or you identify with the Duterte. You want to do everything that Duterte does, right? Reward, punishment power. Do you have the power to reward the other person? To punish him? The thing is, if you use that too obviously, it's not going to work. You need to temper that with the power of not showing power. Write that down. The power of not showing power. Credentials power. Credentials power, which is not written down there. I said exercise, see what they are. So credentials power, I got a PhD, so that makes me, a lot of people think I'm an expert on a lot of things. It opens a lot of doors. I can make more money that way. Hey, I got a PhD. Wow. Holy cow. Hey, so can you think of any others besides the ones I mentioned? So the bottom of page 10 says exercise. What do you think they are? Anybody have any ideas that you want to what power?
Girl power.
Girl power. Tell me about girl power. I love girls. Women are good at trying to get attention of men. Use the power of being more committed to your what you want than the other person is to what he wants. The power of legitimacy. That I am making a legitimate plea to you because my needs are legitimate and they are not phony. The power of knowledge. I know a lot more than you do, but you don't tell them that I know more than you do. But impress them with the knowledge that you have. Like maybe I'm impressing you with my knowledge of negotiating. I don't know. Hope so. The power of taking more risks and having more courage than the other person. The power of taking more time and effort than the other person does. And of course the power of certainty. Power of patience. Oh, the power of patience, right? And here's another, the power of less commitment. In other words, write this down. The person with the least commitment, to the deal has the most power. The person with the least commitment to the situation has the most power. Think about it for a minute. Do you have somebody that keeps calling you all the time wanting something, right? You have the power to say no. They have less power. They keep after you. The person who has the least commitment to the relationship has the most power. Write that down, please. It's very, very important. Power of reputation. Yeah, I guess Donald Trump has a good reputation. The power of competition. You know, I know who your competitors are. I can always go there. Rewarding punishment. Okay, so those are some power sources. So how do you give yourself more time to handle surprises? Okay. Bring in somebody who can slow things down. Okay? Get a surprise visitor over the telephone. Another way is to just go to the bathroom. Yeah, stall for time. Interrupting the other person before they finish. Now, if you do that, what are you saying? You're saying, what I have to say is more important than what you have to say. Shut up. Is that the message you want to get across to him? I hope not.